My alcohol relapse story. I just want to say straight off the bat. Well, first of all, welcome to Sobriety, Bestie. I am Kirsten. Good to have you here. If you are experiencing relapse, if you have experienced relapse, if you're in the midst of it now, if you're struggling to quit drinking alcohol and you keep drinking and you don't want to and it's happening, or you say you're going to quit for like 2 weeks and then you don't, it's like 3 days, or you're going to quit forever and you don't. It's normal. Like, that's what we're faced with. Like, that's what addiction is. It's really hard to get sober. It can be. It can also be like, boom, we make a decision and it's done. So there's no rules about it. But I want to tell you about my 3-year relapse that I forgot about conveniently because of denial, right? And so I wanted to share with you my relapse story and just let you know, like, hang in there. If you are trying to get sober, keep reaching for sobriety. We can break things down in the beginning. Like, is this action that I'm going to do, is it bringing me closer to a drink, or is it bringing me closer to sobriety? Hanging out with this person, going to this place, doing this thing, doing this activity, like whatever it is. Trust yourself in the moment to reach for sobriety, right? Like, if I don't feel comfortable doing this thing because it feels like it's going to bring me closer to a drink, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay home. It's fucking hard. Like, it's really hard. Like, I got out of rehab October 29th, 2009. That means, y'all, it was right around the corner from Halloween. I don't know if you were like me when I was 33 when I got sober. I was all about it. I had this great outfit to wear for Halloween. It was a Wonder Woman outfit. I had wanted to be Wonder Woman forever. Do you relate to me? Do you have these little desires too? Anyways, I knew on that Friday night that if I left the house going out into San Francisco dressed as Wonder Woman, and I even had the boots, man. If I went and left the house and went out and went into the night, tried to be sober 2 days out of rehab, if I did that, I was going to get drunk. I fucking knew it. I knew it. I wasn't going to BS myself, you know? So what happened? I sat on my couch, like sat on my hands, no drinking, right? I sat on my couch, cried, and watched bullshit TV while my roommate, I let her wear my outfit while she walked out looking like Wonder Woman. And I sat there and I was sad. And you know what? I'm still fucking sober. So what is a relapse? How do I define a relapse? How do you define a relapse? Like, basically, let's just get on the same page here. For me, a relapse is if I say I'm not going to drink and I do. Right? If I go back on my word, if I'm trying to not drink and I do. There were many a times where I was not going to go for like 2 weeks or something and I made it like 11 days. But so the first time I tried to quit drinking, like forever, like I'm not going to drink ever again. I will never drink again. I made a decision to never drink again. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. I had 3 more years of drinking after that. But here's what I did. And here's more importantly, what I didn't do. And the 3 things that I didn't do that I would recommend doing if you don't want to relapse. And if that's something that you're struggling with. Now, there's no rules to this, right? Like, part of it is like trusting yourself, and part of this is like listening to people like mentors who have the results that you want. So here's what I did. I started a sobriety blog. August 1st, 2006, I started a sobriety blog. Here's a blurb from my first day sober that didn't last before I had a 3-year relapse. I spent yesterday Googling AA and alcoholism. I went into AA chat room today for the first time. Keep in mind, this was in 2006. This is 5 years before Facebook had like a timeline that we can scroll through. So I went into an AA chat room. I admitted I had a problem with alcohol and that I wanted to seriously address it. I told my anonymous cyber buddies I was an alcoholic, and I started to cry. My fellow chatters were very supportive. Through teary eyes, I read about their withdrawal symptoms, their first AA meetings, what helped them stop. I cried thinking about a life with no wine. I cried and felt like a failure, like I'd somehow lost control. This small step was huge for me. Anonymously telling a group of alcoholics that I was like them was one of the hardest things that I ever did. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I am scared. I am not going to drink today. What I didn't say in the blog is that literally when I was like typing with the AA people in the chat room in 2006, I was so freaked out that I even typed the words, I might be an alcoholic, that I stood up drunk, flipped my table by accident, bumped into it, my laptop flew across my room and onto the floor, and I fell on the ground and started hysterically crying. So if you're going through it right now, just know this, it's not easy. It is a big deal. Like, it takes a lot of courage. You are really courageous if you're in the midst of it and you're facing it and you're thinking about changing your relationship with alcohol. Like, it's a huge fucking deal. It is a big deal. So I started blogging August 1st, 2006. My blog goes about 17 days. And then my birthday was August 20th. So somewhere in the midst of this sobriety blog where I didn't tell anybody that I was going to be sober, I just wasn't drinking. And somewhere in the midst of that, I started planning my 30th birthday, which was on August 20th. So it was right before my 30th birthday. And I was planning this whole adventure to wine country to do wine tasting. We rented this whole limo with my friends, flew up, everybody came together and we were renting a limo to go and taste wine. So even though I'm writing this sobriety blog and not telling anyone I'm sober, at the same time, I'm planning this alcohol-infused birthday celebration. My birthday was on a Sunday that year, and on that Thursday, right, because birthday weekend, the Thursday before my birthday, my roommate comes into my room. Now remember, she doesn't know that I'm not drinking or why I'm not drinking. She's noticed I wasn't drinking for 17 days. She came into my room with a beer, handed it to me and said, for your birthday, I've got you a surprise, gift. Let's go to it right now. It was a spray tan. It was like the first and last spray tan I've ever had. No hating on spray tans. It's just not my thing. Anyway, she feeds me a beer, says, let's go to get a spray tan. So we drink 2 beers. And I go and get a spray tan and I come home, and before I know it, I completely forgot about my decision to get sober. I completely forgot about my blog, about sobriety. Oh God, and this part was so embarrassing. So I got sober 3 years and 1 month later. I completely forgot about that. Like legit completely forgot that I ever went sober, tried to go sober, that I ever wrote a blog. And like one day I was about 1 year sober, and for some reason I decided to Google my email address, and I put my email address into Google. And by that point, Google had bought Blogger and had linked the things together. So if you searched under my email address, my anonymous sobriety blog that didn't have my name on it was like attached, was affiliated, was right there. This whole me gushing out my whole heart and soul about my drinking and my sobriety is all there for the internet for anybody who wants to see in Google, right there, available. Immediately, I copied everything off my blog, put it somewhere else, and deleted the entire blog. So the blog is gone. The craziest part about it is that I didn't remember writing it. Of course, when I found it, I remember that I had written it. I was sober when I wrote it, right? Or technically, I wasn't drinking when I wrote it. But I forgot that I ever tried to go sober. I conveniently forgot that like I even wrote the blog. It was like somehow my mind twisted it all together where it's like that didn't happen, or I didn't try to get sober, or I didn't think about it. Like I didn't go into that AA chat group and say, maybe I'm an alcoholic, I'm freaking out. I didn't flip my table in my panic of admitting that I have a problem with alcohol to strangers on the internet, right? And so somehow I conveniently, or through denial or whatever, like my mind hid it from myself that I wrote 17 days, every day I wrote a blog about getting sober. So here are the 3 things that I didn't do if you want to potentially avoid relapse and make yourself more accountable to your sobriety. Number 1, tell somebody, tell people, let people know, tell people that you're getting sober, let them know what's going on. You want to achieve a goal, hold yourself accountable by letting other people know about it. Number 2, get support, whether it is like-minded people who are already sober, a counselor, a therapist, somebody who can support you in the journey. Get some sort of help, get some sort of support, being communion and contact and connection with somebody who can actually help you. And number 3, take a break from the people and the places where you drink. So if you always go to a bar and get drunk, take a break from that. If you always hang out with Beth or Frank or Simone and get drunk, take a break from them, or let them know that you're not drinking. Don't hang out with them. Don't go to those places. Take a hot minute, a hot step back from it. I know a lot of people who just didn't leave the house for a year, and that's how they got sober. They didn't do any sort of recovery program. They didn't go to rehab like me. They just literally stayed home with their spouse or by themselves, and that's how they got sober. So there is something huge to be said for taking a quick hot step back from whatever it is, whoever you're with or wherever you go that you're drinking. Don't walk into a bar. Don't go to this one place. Don't go to that show. Stop going to concerts, whatever it is. Take a minute, take a step back so you can take 5 steps forward, right? It's not forever. It's just while you're think of it like when you're in the ICU, you're in critical care. When you're in critical care, you're going to behave differently than when you're actually more well established. It's literally changing our brain patterns. It just takes some time. So that's what I didn't do. Tell people, get support, take a break from the people and the places where you tend to drink. And so wherever you're at on your journey, you're not alone. So many of us face relapse. So many of us try to quit and we can't quit right away. And it just takes time and effort. The first time that I questioned whether or not I should quit drinking was when I had been 7 years into my drinking, and it was 10 more years before I stopped. It was 7 years after that I tried to stop and hit it for myself. And 3 years later that I actually got sober. So it does take some time for some of us. It doesn't have to take time. It could be right now. You can just right now do it, right? But if you're going through it and you're having a hard time, it's part of the journey. Think of it like a baby. If a baby is trying to learn how to walk, you don't just say, hey, walking's not for you if they keep falling and you're resigned to you're a crawler. Some people are just crawlers. No, that's not how it is. Keep trying. Keep getting up and standing. If you fall, get back up. Maybe use the wall for support until you have more strength to do it on your own and walk on your own. And eventually you'll walk. Come on. It's okay. We'll try again tomorrow. You're tired. Let's try again tomorrow. So that's the attitude with anything that's hard, right? Is that we just keep going. So if you finding that like you're struggling to stay sober, keep trying. If that's what you want is sobriety and that's the journey that you're going on, keep trying. Like, we don't all get it the first shot. In fact, most of us don't, but keep reaching for what you want to go for. Keep trying new things. Keep getting yourself out of harm's way. If alcohol is harming you, put yourself out of harm's way. Put yourself in sobriety's way. See what happens when you put yourself in sobriety's way. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It was so great to have you here. I can't wait to meet you in the comments. Let me know how it's going. And no matter where you're at on your journey, I wish you much peace and much freedom. And I'll see you in the next video.